Hello, my name is Lindsay Castleman, and I'm the director of the Counseling Center at Fellowship. And I'm here with my friend and fellow therapist, Aaliyah Hyatt. Now, both Aaliyah and I are not only therapists, but we're also parents ourselves. So we know firsthand the joys and the challenges of raising kids and growing a family. However, the excitement of watching your kids grow can sometimes be hijacked by difficulties that can disrupt connection and escalate behaviors between us as parents and the kids within our care. But here's the question, why? Why, Aaliyah? Why can parenting be so difficult?
Quality, responsive parenting is founded in the attuned, connected, and safe presence of a loving caregiver. Providing our children with environments that are sensitive and responsive to their needs, comforting in their distress, and supportive of their exploration sets them up for greater success in the areas of emotional regulation, social competence, self-esteem, and overall physical health. But life as we know it is not always stable and predictable.
No.
Even the most well-meaning, loving parents experience seasons of challenge and confusion in their parenting. Unexpected life stressors such as job or financial strain, grief and loss, career transitions, marital tensions, and personal trauma can impact the quality of our presence and interactions with others. And although change and turbulence is normal and to be expected in any growth process, the impact of these forces on growing families and the quality of connection between parent and child can at times be significant. For this reason, it would be unrealistic to assume that it's possible to maintain a perfectly attuned, responsive level of connection with our kids without some inevitable bumps in the road. Let's face it, we all make mistakes in our parenting.
That's true.
There are times when we miss bids for connection and even fail to show up for our kids in the ways that they need. Sometimes the demands of work and career get in the way of us being present to our children. And oftentimes, more personal things such as unresolved issues and insecurities within ourselves and our own confusing experiences of childhood can get in the way of us being accessible and responsive to our children in a regulated and consistent manner. If left unchecked, these places of relationship rupture can cause more distance, stuckness, confusion, and even bigger reactivity in the relationship between parent and child. But there is good news.
Good. We like good news, for sure.
The good news is we all have inner wisdom that can help us work through these places of insecurity, confusion, and disconnection. And we have a Heavenly Father who will love us through that process. No matter who we are or what our stories have been, if we take time to slow down and really lean into the hard places within ourselves and our stories, we can begin to unlock any barriers that prevent our kids from experiencing us as accessible, responsive, and emotionally engaged parents and caregivers.
Yeah, thank you, Aaliyah. Now, unless we start to realize that we're stuck, then it will be hard to recognize that we need to even do something about it. But don't fear, the ways we can recognize that we're stuck are relatively easy, but they're also challenging at the same time. It's hard to look within. So here's some questions to ask yourself. Number one, do you find yourself frustrated at your kiddos often? Do you get triggered easily? Now, we all get frustrated at our kiddos, but we're talking about often, consistently, and you don't always know why. Number two, do you find yourself having a hard time being present with your kids? If so, are you constantly worried about what they're doing next? Like there's a lot of anxiety? Or do you then remove yourself from them emotionally or physically? Maybe you put yourself in work and the demands of work because you don't know how to just be with your child. Number three, do you realize you have difficulty being creative or playing with your kiddo? Is it tough for you to go into those places of imagination and play? Number four, is your child constantly frustrated at you? Do we have a lot of friction here? Because here's the thing, kiddos don't usually lie. We want to listen to their frustration because there's something there that they're trying to bring attention to between the two of you. Number five, Do you have a hard time being with your kid and knowing what to do when they show up in big emotions? Do you let them just go and handle it themselves, or do you know how to lean into those big emotions? Number 6, do you have an inner belief or have you heard yourself say that your childhood is in the past and it's not affecting your present or it's not affecting you as a parent? It is. So that's a big one. Number 7, do you report that you had a great childhood, but you can't remember it? Do you have trouble accessing childhood memories? If so, we want to start to pay attention to that. Number 8, have others encouraged you to get counseling and you thought, I don't think I need it? Or have said to yourself, no, I probably don't need it. You probably do. Number 9, do you have trouble being accessible, responsive, and emotionally engaged, not only to your kiddos and yourself, but also to your spouse? Are we noticing that there's an emotional distance there with your spouse? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, then you're likely stuck. But don't fear, this is the majority of humans. But not only for us as humans, we're also Christians. So we're called to be set apart. We're called to be sanctified. We're called to run a race and not just to be stuck. So because we've answered yes to these things, that's great awareness, but we don't want to just stay there. We don't want to be stuck. We want to move forward. So this is why we need each other, to help move each other out of these stuck places and run a race that brings people, especially our loved ones, closer to us emotionally and not further away.
But in order to come together as adults supporting one another on a journey, we need to have an understanding and appreciation of the power of being with. This is especially true of the ways in which we approach and engage relationship with our children. Simply put, being with is the power of attuned presence and of following your child's needs and making sense of those needs. It's about modeling empathy and staying present, being fully there even in the moments of hard.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to follow a need, we have to discern what the need is in the first place. And in order to discern a need, we should have a genuine understanding of the person behind it. And that's the ultimate gift of being seen and known for who we are and being delighted in for the essence of our being.
Oh, I love that, Aaliyah. So as many of us know, building a relationship involves getting to know someone by entering into their world in ways of being curious about who they are, where they come from, what makes them tick, what are they passionate about, hopes they have for the future. But this concept also applies to building attachment and relationship with our children through their entire life. But where we often get stuck, especially as new parents, and this is going to sting a little, is expecting our child to enter into our world, to meet our expectations, to live up to a standard that we have created for them to embody, and probably our parents did it for us too. And some of these may involve like athletics, academics, career path, or some other predetermined social habit necessary for them to function in order to earn our attention or approval. I even had someone tell me that they played golf their whole life and hated the sport, but it was the only way that they could connect with their father. It was sad.
Mm-hmm. We have to remember that physically entering the world through the act of birth does not entitle us to continue expecting them to enter our world or the worlds that we have created for them. Gaining or earning our attention this way only creates confusion, misalignment, misattunement, and relationships built on obligation and not delight. So again, if I find myself in this place of stuckness, I should reflect on what aspects of being with or entering my children's or my teens' world creates places of fear or uncertainty within me. Do I feel threatened by my child having interests or passions different than mine? Do I notice a surge of insecurity and not knowing how to meet my child's need, or feeling as though it's beyond what I'm capable of offering? What if I try to enter their world and I don't like what I see? And then what do I do with those emotions? Do I disappear instead or stay curious? Do I get big and demand to be respected for what world is more important to me? Or do I lean into the tension and continue to pursue a deeper knowing of my child, regardless of the challenges between us and the insecurities it evokes within me? Engaging these relationship dynamics are the very thing that can bring us closer together in relationship with our children and begins a process of tethering us to their hearts instead of their talents.
Oh, I like that. Tethering us to their hearts instead of their talents. Now, remember that training up a child in the way they should go is a training, like a coach, not a dictator or a boss. There is a coordinating between the parent and the child that happens so that a child's heart feels so safe to show up authentically. If your caregivers didn't know your heart, then you don't have a model of presence, care, comfort, and coordinated structure. You probably have a model of rigidity over dependency, performance, and pleasing.
Simply put, we were all raised by imperfect parents, parents who meant well and did the best they could under the circumstances they were living in. And for that, we can be grateful. But for some of us, the experience of being parented was further complicated by experiences of pain, confusion, or fear. Those factors make it extra hard to show up for our kids and can encourage patterns of avoidance or withdrawal within us. And as hard as it is, we don't really get a pass when it comes to parenting.
Nope.
Anyone can father or mother a child, but not everyone can parent. And no one is expecting perfection when it comes to parenting. Good enough and a willingness to show up is all that is needed.
Yes, we want to be able to look in, right? And at the Counseling Center, we want to help you get unstuck. You can begin the courageous work of showing up for your kids by developing a relationship with your own emotion and story and embracing the essence of who you are so that you can delight in who your child is. When parenting is approached from this angle, empathic shifts are made towards increased being with presence and your child and building confidence within them to safely explore their world and grow into the awesome adults they were meant to be. And remember that we're here to help. The Counseling Center at Fellowship has so many therapists that are trained in this way of being with not only others, but yourself and your story. So visit us at counselingatfellowship.com and we will be happy to help.